I'm Sam Noir,
I'm Yanick Paquette,
and you are listening
to True North Country Comic Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. If you want to drop me a line, you can contact me at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. On this episode, I chat with Sam Noir and Yanick Paquette about Free Comic Book Day. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. It's also available on the True North Country Comics channel on YouTube. I invite you to like and subscribe. First held in 2002, Free Comic Book Day is a single day when participating comic book specialty shops across North America and around the world give away comic books absolutely free to anyone who comes into their shops. And this year, libraries are participating as well. Some of this year's entries from Canadian creators include Clementine No. 1 by artist and writer Irma Nievela, Enemies by artist and writer Svetlana Chemkova, Cult Cable No. 1 by writer Kevin Rodatelli, The Bone Orchard Mythos Prelude by writer Jeff Lemire, and the Inkle Universe by artist Yanick Paquette. Sam is a writer and cartoonist based in Toronto. His work includes covers for Chapter House Comics Summer Special and Captain Canuck No. 1, and he has contributed to steampunk originals from Arcana, Monstrosity from Alterna, Cerebus Low Society, Toronto Comics, Strange Romance, Hogtown Horror, and he's a co-creator of indie comics such as Munsters, Victoria 4, Holmes vs. Moriarty, Zip Kramer, Clanky, and Major North. He's also helped create the Cauldron magazine anthology. He's also the product developer at Odeon Toys, including the official Captain Canuck action figures. Based in Montreal, Yanick is an Eisner-nominated Schuster Award winner and No. 1 New York Times best-selling comics artist. He began his career as a comic book illustrator in the United States in 1994. He's worked for Topps, Marvel, and DC Comics, illustrating titles including Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Avengers, JLA, X-Men, Wolverine Weapon X, Terra Obscura, Seven Soldiers, and Swamp Thing. He collaborates with the biggest writers of the medium, including Alan Moore, Scott Snyder, Jason Aaron, and Grant Morrison, with whom he drew Wonder Woman Earth 1. His most recent project is illustrating a new Inkle graphic novel for Humanoid Associé. And so, without further ado, here's my chat with Sam Noir and Yanick Paquette about Free Comic Book Day. So, Sam Noir, I want to talk to you a wee bit about Free Comic Book Day. I'm wondering, can you tell me, what does Free Comic Book Day mean to you?
You know what? This is, to me, Free Comic Book Day. I've been doing the Gotham Central event for well over probably half a decade. It's hard to tell during pandemic times, but what's happened over there is Carlos has really curated a real family feel to not only the store, but the artist community there, to the point where, he's invited me back every single year. And I love the fact that it is mostly families and that it is people that are coming to experience this for the first time in a lot of ways. This is like the Baskin-Robbins. It was inspired by the Baskin-Robbins ice cream, right? In terms of the free scoop day. So they thought, you know what? There's a whole new generation of kids out there that, didn't grow up like you or I did, John, in terms of going to the corner store and getting comics. Actually, it's a little different now in terms of, there is the graphic novels and the Scholastic, but in terms of just going to the comic book store for your comic book. So it's a great way to bring that readership into what's, generally kind of an aging venue, isn't it? And I have to say, the way Carlos curates it at his store has been incredible. And I'm happy to go there every single year, except during the pandemic years, of course, and drawing for the kids there. I just can't say enough positive about this kind of event. And it's more about the community and the extended community to me. Just the camaraderie of the Toronto creator scene is fantastic. And Carlos has always helped really nurture that in terms of being a patron to a lot of us creators. He carries, our stock in the store. He brings us in for events, not just Free Comic Book Day, but, 4, 5, 6, 8 events a year where, we're tabling there. Yeah, catering to the sketch battle for charity he does, the Father's Day, I think on the 26th this year as well. He's doing anniversary barbecue. I think Gotham is celebrating an anniversary. So yeah, just being able to give back the way both Carlos and everybody else, all my fellow comic creators, it's phenomenal.
Great. No, that's great stuff. I wonder if you have any special thing or things that you will be doing or showcasing to celebrate Free Comic Book Day.
Well, as usual, I like to do free sketches for the kids. So I've got my little box of crayons out and my markers. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been so long. Like, again, we've been starved for events these past 2 years. So for me, it's getting back out there, being amongst my friends, and then meeting potential new fans and comic enthusiasts as well. I'm very enthusiastic about the idea of comics as reading material and kids comics. I do have a lot of kids content that I have, and in fact had released a couple just before the pandemic came down, including Kung Fu Santa, which I co-created with artist Craig Ferguson, about Santa going missing and an evil corporation enslaving the elves of the North Pole to create toys at rock bottom prices, wink wink, and an unnamed corporation, I should say. But yeah, they have to find Santa. He ends up being in China, and now he knows Kung Fu. So they're going to gather all these holiday spirits to take back the North Pole. And I'm really happy because again, I'm all about just being able to hand a potential young fan a comic and talk to them about it. And hopefully, mom and dad, depending on their age, will go home and either they'll read it or read it with their parents and enjoy the gift of reading. I also had Clanky, which I would kind of describe as if Hogwarts didn't just cater to wizards, they catered to like superheroes and mad scientists and super spies and ninjas and all kinds of other genres. So it is kind of as if, your genre is your clique in this high school environment. The protagonist is a young protege of essentially a steampunk supervillain who needs to overcome his differences with the son of the world's greatest superhero.
Good stuff.
And again, I'll be doing the free sketches, and I should mention as well, Raid will be, the studio that I'm a part of will be represented by Dax Gordine as well, and I cannot recommend his Forest Folk enough. It's a delightful, delightful comic series of Looney Tunes crashing headlong into Calvin and Hobbes about a fox and a mischievous fox and his best friend, a magical elf.
Very good. And you'll both be hanging out at Gotham Central Comics in Mississauga for the day.
Doing free drawings, for the kids.
So Yanick Paquette, what does Free Comic Book Day mean to you?
Well, I guess it's a way to try to grab attention for the outside world of comic, because comic, even though we've got now exposure to all those movies that made a fortunes, the comics themselves, they're pretty hermetic. I mean, it's not that many people that read comics. So this is this opportunity of like this open end toward the rest of the universe, and try us out and take a look, and maybe it will turn yourself into crazy geek that knows, the many origins of Wolverine after a while, so maybe, it's this, not like a selling thing, but also a celebration of comic. So, oh yeah.
Cool. Now, I noticed for this Free Comic Book Day, you have a book coming out called The Inkle Universe. I'm wondering if you could talk a wee bit about that book.
Yeah, I quite honestly, I don't know what they're going to put in the book. The Inkle itself is this huge classic from Moebius and Jodorowsky from the 80s in the European market. I mean, it's super well known. It's massive. Now, it's not as well known, I guess, in the United States. People know Moebius, maybe, Jodorowsky, maybe. I mean, but these are like, it's a giant book. And when they offered it to me, I couldn't say no. I mean, this is like doing Watchmen and Sandman together, but for Europe. So I was like, yeah, okay. But I'm doing this in the time frame of a comic book, so I'm trying to do a page a day or so, while Moebius, of course, did 44 pages a year, or I don't know. But it's a bit unfair, because obviously the book will come out and people will compare my work with Jean Giraud, and I'll look like a foolish kid. But
No.
I will. But at least I can always save the faces, saying, yeah, well, I've done it so much faster. but for me, I mean, it's refreshing, because after years of doing comic book, after a while, you just know how to do your things, and you do those things. And, you want to render a Batman leg, and it's almost like an automatism. You know how you do your things. And changing market, being exposed heavily to the work of Moebius, it somehow forced me to reconsider a lot of the stuff I was doing on autopilot. It's 150 120, 130, something that in that ballpark pages. I'm almost done, by the way. The comic book, the free comic book things, I don't know how much pages they're going to cram in there, but we'll see. Yeah, it's a bit different. It's at the crossword of European and American stylistic in terms of the language. Hopefully people will check it out. I mean, Batman, everybody's going to jump on Batman, and Inkle, it's like, what? I don't want it, but maybe they should, because it is this massive classic, and hopefully it's gonna grab some attention here in North America. I know for a fact it's gonna be a big thing in Europe already.
Sure. Now, do you have any plans to be at any events to support Free Comic Book Day?
So far, no. Maybe here I got a little comic book store, which is maybe 7 seconds from my place, so I'll probably go there and say hi, see how the craziness is going.
Thanks to Sam and Yanick for the chat. You can discover more about Sam on Twitter at HeySamNoir and online at sam-noir.tumblr.com. You can discover more about Yanick on Twitter and Instagram at Yanick Paquette and online at yannickpaquetteblog.wordpress.com. And you can discover more about Free Comic Book Day at freecomicbookday.com. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And please leave a good rating. Also check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website and follow along on Twitter at True North Comics. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. Please send your feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks again for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2022.